All right, let's do it. So here we are, 114 episodes into the Wheelhouse Cycling Podcast, and I'm going to start by quoting Kermit the Frog this week because we are all together again. Oh, it's fun to be together again. Katherine Bates, welcome back to the
does
bunker.
that quite well.
That was spectacular.
Thank you. Henk Vogels, you're back too.
I am.
It's so good to have everyone back in the
So
bunker.
good to be here.
It wouldn't be the bunker. The bunker wouldn't exist without the services of me. So I'm here as well. Thank you. Let's move on. No, it's Merckxy. G'day, Merckxy. How
Hello,
you going?
mate. It's good to have you all back in the bunker.
We missed you.
No, did you really? How you going after B2GC?
I'm so glad you brought that up.
I brought it up.
I would stand up to talk about it, but still incapable of doing such things. Wonderful ride. Let's talk about that quickly. So 100 kilometres, beautiful, glorious, sunshiny day. Not a hint of breeze. Lovely. Just.
Did you do a different ride? Let me say, wonderful cause.
Absolutely. And
The-
target smashed.
A ride to cure cancer. They're raising funds for research, and it's a wonderful. The Mater Foundation is a wonderful cause. That aside,
Yes.
it's the most miserable day I've had on my bike since
You raced.
spring in Holland in the early 2000s. It sucked.
Okay, so this
Satisfying,
yeah,
but it was hard.
this was my introduction, personal introduction to a long,
How-
100k,
What was your PB before the 100k?
60.
Okay.
60.
So
60. But
just
that was
a wee little improvement.
just slap an extra 40 on in as I say, idyllic conditions. The last one was actually in Cronulla along, down Brighton Sands, that whole road
Oh,
that
yeah.
goes along the coast there. That's a pretty windy part of the world as well. So I thought, it's going to take a fair bit of wind to rattle this warrior. And the cycling
did.
gods went, hold our
Well,
beers. buddy."
let's step through it. Firstly,
Yeah.
when we got to South Bank, we took a photo.
Yes.
There was sun.
Yeah.
By the time we got to the start tunnel, it wasn't just like drizzling, it was bucketing. It was
Hosing.
like being in a shower. We then got a flat
Yeah.
200 metres in.
Yeah.
By the time we got to Greenslopes, about 3.5k down the road, we were discussing, Joel and I were discussing how far the water had progressed in our socks, how, as it goes down and into your shoes.
So it was full.
It was. But in saying that, I had a bloody great time. Do you remember
Absolutely.
Mullet Guy? Merckxy, do you remember Mullet Guy? He rode past us and I happened to look over at the time and I said, that is a glorious mullet. And he said, it is glorious. And then he shook it and rode on.
And all the
It was-
raindrops came off it.
It was
Yeah.
fantastic.
He
But
freaked out when I tried to touch it.
I know.
don't ever touch
you
it.
You don't touch
try
the
and do
mullet.
that again.
I'm
No.
trying to remember this guy that rode past us. I'm like, oh no, so many people rode past me that I can't
Oh,
can't
no,
place
we
this guy. But
made really good time.
we did okay in the end, didn't we?
Yeah, you should be really proud of yourself.
I got a lot out of it. I won't lie. If you haven't done one before, and I'm sure a lot of the wheelhouse tribe wheelhouse do these things in their sleep. But if you haven't, it was extremely empowering, and you take on the next few challenges you take on in your life. You're sort of like, meh.
Oh.
Meh.
Hank,
Yes.
I'm going to say that's the worst headwind since the Tour of California when you
No.
guys won.
Please tell
Yeah.
us about this, Henk Vogels.
We did this stage in Tour of California. I think it was in 2007, and it was along the Pacific Coast Highway. It was 8 degrees max during the day, and I reckon it was about a 50k an hour headwind. I don't know if you've seen the Big Little Lies on. I think it's Netflix or Paramount or one of
Great
those.
show.
And so, at the start of every episode, there's that beautiful drive along the ocean there. But yeah, when it's 8 degrees and it's 50k headwind and it's hosing down, we actually never win in the big chain ring the whole way. And these are pros, these are Tour de France pros, And we actually won the stage, which is ridiculous. But
Well, somebody's got to win.
6.5 hours
from
or
there.
something. 6.5 hours of that.
Yeah.
And it was literally so cold that some of the riders were going back to the director sportives after they had, long sleeve jersey, another jacket over the top, and then a raincoat over the top, 2 pairs of gloves, 2 pairs of arm warmers, 2 pairs of leg warmers, 2 pairs of boot covers, and they're going back to the DS and saying, "Give me your jacket now, because I'm still cold."
Wow.
So, but I'm not sure it was that cold on Sunday for you guys.
No.
But,
It wasn't. And that's a good point because I'm from Sydney.
Oh, yeah.
If you, well,
Sorry.
Parramatta.
Yeah.
West is the
Is that
best.
in
Thank
Sydney?
you very
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
If it rained like that in Sydney, it would have been freezing.
True that.
But I was quite.
but it was like pea
quite
soup.
pleasant.
It was like soupy. Was
Yeah.
it soupy, humid?
A
Yeah,
little bit,
it
yeah.
was.
It was,
But
it was probably chilly at the start because we rolled out a little bit late, as you do. It was meant to go at 5:30.
Yeah.
It was probably 6:15 or so. And you go through that beautiful bus tunnel off Melbourne Street in Brisbane,
Yeah.
South Brisbane there. When we got into that tunnel and it was not raining, we got out of that tunnel and it was bucketing down rain. There was a little bit of a chill, I think, for that first 20.
Did you
'Cause I
guys?
remember we stopped at the servo. Sorry, we stopped at the servo, and I was really toying with my house isn't too far from here. And I spoke to some lady, and she was just having the worst day of her life. And she was there going, these aren't the shoes I wanted to wear. I don't even like these shoes. This is too tight for me. I didn't bring enough water. I don't even know where my friends are. Her friends were outside.
So that was some perspective.
It gave a massive dose of perspective.
Yeah.
And we actually had a little chat. We had a little sort of, psych
Bonded?
up chat. And we both left going, no, we're gonna get this
We'll get there.
expletive done.
When you were in the tunnel and it wasn't raining in the tunnel, did you think about just waiting until it stopped raining?
Very much so. No, I'm not. When I say was close to my home, I'm not kidding. We actually went within like 150 metres of my house at one point.
I
Where we go past.
I would have done a
the Sailor
runner.
Park
That
side, and I'm
is
just going-
self-restraint. It really is.
I could smell the bacon and eggs, and I could feel the warm bed.
But
No,
would I
really
do it
glad.
again? Absolutely.
Yeah,
I loved
I'm
it.
actually really stinging. I think we're talking about another one today. I don't know if Henk and I are eligible for it, but if we are, sign
Yes,
us up.
we'll
We're
talk
there.
about it a bit later, but that's Sisters of the Saddle. And no, you're not
Damn it.
eligible,
That's
is
fair.
the short
That's
version
fair.
of that. But
There's a hint in the title. To
Yeah.
be fair, there's a good, strong hint in the title.
Sisters,
Yeah.
yeah.
I can transition for the weekend.
we did need you. We needed you in the crosswinds so that I could just sit.
Yes, because sitting on me is like sitting on a horse float. You just get dragged along.
Wow.
We've got the ass the
dear.
size of a horse.
Wow.
So
Can I give a shout out to Michael?
Oh, please,
who's-
Michael Ryder, who
Michael
joined us.
Ryder. So Michael's a bit of a veteran of the B2GC. He's done 3 or 4 of them now. And if ever there was such a thing as a cyborg designed to just get it done, it was this guy, because he was just this picture of consistency. I'm going to say perpetual motion. It feels like he didn't stop moving the whole time. But what I know now is that he was on a very special detail, and you, being the lovely person you are, and Merckxy, had obviously briefed him that you had a debutante with you, and the efforts that the 3 of you went to make sure that I was okay and maybe not going to quit on you or whatever was very, very endearing. But Michael, he was on my wheel. He was with me the whole time, and it was just really, really lovely from
Yeah.
a guy that I hadn't met.
All the love to Michael Ryder.
And then gave us a lift home as well.
He did.
Champion.
Yeah.
Because Merckxy, you barely made it home in time for a birthday party.
10-year-old party.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Mick Ryder, he was like the Daniel Loss, and that makes you Peter Sagan, Joel.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
see how he just got Peter Sagan.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
it-
Slip it in there.
He did. It's
Every
good.
show. I think
Nice one.
every show we've ever done, Merckxy's
Yeah.
slipped in Peter Sagan somehow.
Well, that's because I get to push the buttons.
I
That's
have
true.
one more
That's true.
gripe. Not a gripe.
Oh,
just
yeah.
just a technical clarification to make. So just before we started, there was some controversy about my tyre, and an accusation was flung forth that I had not correctly inflated and sealed said tyre.
Yes.
I would like to think that maybe that accusation can be withdrawn after then completing 100 kilometres on said tyre, which was actually completely f***ed and was slowly leaking the entire time.
You limped through. You did well. I think my biggest... Oh, Henk, you'll appreciate this. I thought I was really organised, but I didn't have a beautiful Zeffel frame pump. I just had a mini pump.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I carried.
And because I don't like the CO2 canisters, bad for the environment, and they never work for me, to be honest. But Merckxy, I reckon at one point, 100 before. And
I've
Merckxy,
got one
shout
massive
out.
bicep.
Yeah, because you also
pump.
stopped to help another fella along
Yeah,
the
I did.
way who was trying to. He wasn't having any luck pumping his tyre up, so Merckxy stopped and gave him about 200 little pumps on the mini pump.
That's
So,
a waste of time. That
That's what
was.
you do.
Yeah.
You got to do that on those.
and then
rides,
it
right?
went
Yeah.
down afterwards. So.
I remember that because I remember saying to Michael, "Oh, they've stopped. Should we stop?" And Michael goes, "Don't worry, Joel. They'll catch us." And it turns out he was right. They did catch us. But you look, the spirit of the occasion. I have to say, looking at some of the photos, the fundraising targets that they've hit and exceeded, that event just seems to go from, just explode every single year. So congrats to them all.
Yeah, I'd love to do it again. There were a couple of photos where, especially right toward the end, Merckxy and I, individual photos look absolutely just ruined.
Oh yeah,
Buried.
cooked.
It-
Yeah.
I had
They're
a few
quite
knee
funny.
problems.
Well, I mean, how many Ks a week do you do, Kate?
I think this year I've probably done 300k.
So not bad.
No, the year for the year.
Yeah,
not
so
the
you got
week.
your
Including
you
the-
got your quarterly.
Yeah.
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 I need to
yeah.
ride more. It reminded me of that, and Merckxy and I are saying that all the time, but I think it probably reinvigorated us a little bit.
Well, big shout out to the
So,
team at Bike Butt,
yep.
of course, for all of your biking needs, who are TLCing my poor bike on the back of that that day out as well.
And
so
Unreal for the Martyr Foundation. So
Saw Nettie
we'll
there.
be back
Huge.
next year.
Nettie
Oh, yeah,
was
we
there.
saw Nettie Edmondson.
Nettie Edmondson showed up.
Yeah, she
yeah,
she described her ride down a little bit differently, can I
Okay.
say?
Yeah, go on.
She said, I just surfed down in a bunch, just went from wheel to wheel. It wasn't too bad at all.
good on you, Nettie.
And I said to her, if you want to talk to me, you'll have to sit down because I cannot stand up.
I can't get up right now.
Yeah, well,
Different
wasn't-
experiences.
Wasn't like that in the Gruppetto, Nettie.
No.
Yeah, so glad
no.
you enjoyed yourself, Nettie.
So,
Yeah.
was there any beers after?
I didn't want one.
I-
I had one
No
later
beer.
in the day.
I had one late. We had in the evening, but right away, I probably couldn't have told you my name, to be honest.
Oh, you're
I
that
was
far
just-
gone, Kate.
Well, I was having a few digestive issues and essentially didn't eat. And so
Oh.
I got to a point where I was hunger flat and thought, this is bad. But it's remarkable. You can keep going. You just can't go any faster.
No.
So
Kate was saying right after, if only Hank was here, we would all not be in this agony. and
We'd probably
pain.
all be having a beer
Fuck
right
you,
now.
Hank.
yeah.
Something like
yeah.
that.
It was
Yeah.
something like that.
Rub it in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We will.
Keep going. I deserve it.
We'll Hank on the next one for sure because I want to experience the horse float
Yes.
sensation. I feel like that'll be really
Yep.
helpful.
Not a
And
problem.
I feel that I could aspire to horse floating
Yeah.
one day.
The horse floating.
Well done to everyone. I want to give a quick shout out to my mate Shelley Bishop, who's an ambassador as well, and did it again, and is a survivor and spreads the message beautifully. She was on the mic down at Southport when we arrived and just did a beautiful job and just rallies that cause beautifully every single year. So to her, Rowan, all of the team, massive wheelhouse hat tip to you
Yes.
guys. Thanks
We'll
for
Well
see
done,
you
that.
next
guys.
year.
Well
Yeah.
done.
Okay, before we get into the meat of an off season, so much to talk about on the off season Wheelhouse podcast. Couple of little bits. So we've had some Sport Australia Hall of Fame inductees. I saw Sally Pearson getting the nod to get into the Sport Australia Hall of Fame, and someone a bit closer to our sport is of course the one and only Gerry Ryan. I suppose recognised for his philanthropic efforts over a long period of time. What do we make of this?
Gerry's an absolute legend. I mean, a long time ago when I started cycling back in 91, he was already sponsoring back in 94, 95. And I think Gerry was the driving force behind Australia's first ever cycling team. And I'm not talking about Green Edge, I'm talking about, Scott McGorry and Steve McLeod. And he sponsored me in the Sun Tour in one of the small teams. And he's just always been involved in every way, shape and form in cycling. So, and without him, I don't think we would have such a successful, nation of cyclists, track and road, because he's funded probably more than the government has in the sport. So, Gerry loves cycling. He's for him, it's part of the family. So it's not just an investment in Mitchelton or Jayco. I'm sure he's not getting a return on investment on the team. He just loves cycling, and you really want people in the sport like this because he.
There he is, Gerry.
Gerry's an absolute legend, and without him, we'd be kind of screwed. So massive hat tip to him, and he totally deserves that 100%.
Yeah, between he and Michael Drapak, I think the major beneficiaries of the sport in Australia, and generations can be grateful for that.
It's interesting you say that about outstripping government support. An individual doing that makes me think a few things. Firstly, come on, government, have a long, hard look at your funding allocation. But
times
secondly,
10.
What an absolute. Really?
Oh, times 10.
Yeah.
I mean 22 million
huge.
euros a year.
Yeah.
For Jayco, has been going 12 years.
That's just the team. I mean, that's not even counting all the other stuff.
Yeah.
I think the only benefactor that
got close
with time might catch up is Gina Reinhardt across rowing and swimming and other sports. But without Gerry Jayco, as he's nicely known, the sport wouldn't be where it is today in Australia. So
would he actually be? He would have probably put more into cycling than any other sponsor
For any other sport?
for any other sport.
I would think so. Yeah,
I would think
Gina would be next.
Yeah. So you've got like Gerry, who's probably not even in the richest 200 people in Australia.
No, but he's also put money into netball, into soccer. He owns
basketball as well.
Basketball.
So basketball, he's got a really big rap there because he's. I did a bit with him down in Sydney, and he's got a rap for his humility because he's very unassuming, and he's always like, "Do you mind if I just can I just have a second? Can I get an autograph for my nephew or something like that?" It's like, mate, you literally own all of this. You can do what you want.
Part of Melbourne Storm, I think, is that right, Merckxy?
Storm, Melbourne.
Yeah. So it's not just cycling. No. Cycling seems to be his passion project. Yeah. Thankfully, we're grateful for that.
Hank was saying before the show he's lining him up to come into the studio, so that's good.
Oh, excellent.
Next week,
to buy it or just to visit?
Gerry, if you're listening,
of course he is.
Apparently I'm sorting it out.
It is the Ryan House Cycling Podcast as of right now.
It's now called the Jayco
Middleton
Wheelhouse.
Outstanding. Good acknowledgement, I'd say. He's up there. Like like John Singleton's up there as well. He throws a fair bit, but I don't think it's anywhere near Gerry. From that to some much more sad news, and we know how much this has rocked the world of cycling because we've got political leaders sending their love and tributes, of course, at the news that Sir Chris Hoy has received a devastating diagnosis, and it's come not long after his wife Sarah received one herself. So, Kate, this is this is a terminal diagnosis with prostate cancer that's come on like that. And it's all happening very quickly for Sir Chris Hoy.
Yeah, I'm gutted. He's been diagnosed with terminal cancer, so 2 to 4 years. The doctors have given him. He's got 2 kids, Callum and Chloe, who are 10 and 7, and his wife Sarah, at a similar time, was also diagnosed with quite a rare and aggressive form of multiple sclerosis. So she's got some challenges ahead. But he's genuinely one of the nicest humans on the planet, and the way he has handled himself, he was at the World Championships last week in Copenhagen, still walking around, still getting out and about and supporting the sport that he loves so much. And it just bloody sucks. It's just not fair, right? You know, we're riding, in the wind and the rain, and we are doing that for people like Chris Hoy. For them as individuals, for the families that are affected, and it's sad. It's heartbreakingly sad. I don't think there's much more to say about the great man, but as with everything he's ever done, the grace in which he's handling himself is phenomenal. He's got a memoir out, All That Matters, My Toughest Race Yet. I will be buying that. I believe the proceeds will be very well used to family and charity. So I say we get a couple of copies for the bunker.
Absolutely.
There's not a lot. You don't want to talk about silver linings, and I will say everyone that's in this bunker at the moment has been touched by cancer in some way. When things like this happen, there is the hope that a person of this magnitude, with this stature and with this reach, will use their own, terrible, tragic news and the journey ahead to help raise awareness and to help I guess, improve the chances of others down the track. And that's the kind of guy that I think we're dealing with here as well. It's a terrible, terrible piece of news. And the tributes have come from all over the world. But the UK, the setup there's rattled. Was he in Paris or was that?
Yeah, he was. It's actually these moments, like when you hear terminal, there's a part of you that thinks, how can that be? Like when Elon Musk can fire a rocket that comes back down and gets caught by chopsticks, how is this happening?
That we can't
How
find
have
a
we
cure
not
for
found,
prostate cancer.
Yeah, cured this yet. But I suppose even more reason why we did something like the Brisbane to Gold Coast. Because all jokes aside, as miserable as it was, every moment I thought, my poor auntie undergoing the treatment that she has been, this is an absolute breeze for me.
Oh, nothing
You
at
know,
all.
I
Nothing
thought
at all.
I thought I can stop at any time and
yeah.
call an Uber. But that's the thing, is that the survivors and they don't get to opt out.
No,
So
absolutely.
yeah, sobering.
Yeah, it truly is. And all the very best to the family, sparing a big thought for those young kids as well, 10 and 7. Far too
He
young
was
to
Chris Hoy was one of the first people that Merckxy met in the cycling world in the velodrome in 2016. If
wow.
you remember, when I was in there reporting, and I had a bit of a bet with Jill from the BBC about who was going to perform better. I can tell you we did not, Australia being we, did not win that bet.
No.
I was a bit flustered
But
in that velodrome.
yes, but
There's
Chris...
Peter Sagan there.
Chris Hoy and Jill, they both really enjoyed every day. They were like, hey, do you want to smile for another photo, Kate? I was like, sod off.
Yeah, go on
This
then.
is only getting worse.
One thing I did love about the GC100 is getting that inspiration to do more rides like that. And I thought, you know what, as a team, we've done that together. Let's go sign up for the next available one. So I jumped online and I entered us all in the Bowral Classic, the Bowral Cycling Classic, thinking here's a great opportunity for the team Wheelhouse to get down and double down and just keep on riding for good. And lo and behold, all of my good intentions, Kate, came to nothing. What the double-digit F word went on with the Bowral Cycling Classic? Is it true that it was someone literally wrote the wrong day down in their diary?
I believe so. So Altus, the traffic controllers, apparently, so the story goes, wrote the wrong weekend down. And the event was cancelled less than an hour before they kicked off. It was meant to start at 6 a.m, so at 5 a.m. the messages went out because the traffic controllers didn't turn up.
So it's on roads, okay? So
Correct, yes.
open roads. So
Yes.
I would assume that everyone still did it.
Yeah, I believe so. I
Without a
think
number.
everybody, without any of the
Traffic management.
timing or finishing or traffic management. So, yeah. But I don't know. It's really curious. Like, a lot of people have a lot of questions, obviously. Altus came out and owned it, but they're a brilliant company. I've worked with them across so many events. We worked with them at Amy's Grand Fondo. They are so good to work with.
Yeah.
And they said themselves, in the history of their organisation, they've done thousands of events. Nothing like this has ever happened before. Mistakes happen.
Sure.
Bloody big mistake though.
Someone's getting a sack.
But yeah, I mean, and you have to wonder what happened with the organisers. But they've got 6 different classics. They've got Bowral, Mudgee, Noosa, Snowy, Clare, so maybe 5. And they're owned by Bicycling Australia. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, look, I hope that it doesn't have a bigger flow on, that everybody's
yeah.
kept good humour, but it will cost them a lot of money because they're refunding
Everyone?
all
Everyone.
the entries.
So that's all.
So-
oh, wow.
That is a lot of money.
Do you know how many people were doing it?
Around 3,000, I think.
It's a lot.
But also, here's a question. If you went and you rode anyway, are you asking for your
Are you
money
asking
back?
for your money back? Yeah.
Or are you going,
Are you doing it for charity?
well, no.
It's not a charity ride, is it? It's not for a
I
cause,
think-
or
no,
it's just a Grand Fondo.
It's just a
an
Grand
event,
Fondo.
right?
It's an event.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because if you were doing it for a charity, then you'd have to be a douche to
Yeah.
ask for your money back.
Yeah, agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
You'd have to be.
But
And you did the ride anyway, and they gave you the course, and you rode with another 2,500 people.
That's
so
still pretty
500
cool.
home. So I know the people who want their money back because they didn't get a number.
Yeah, because is that what it is? Like you didn't get an official finish time or whatever. Like
Damn, they got start and stop on their computers.
Yeah.
On their
I always say, like, the mistakes do happen. Human error. We've had some
Yeah.
big ones. Like this year, CrowdStrike was human error, and that not nearly shut down the whole world. Sure. With stuff like this, though, I'm very curious about cross-checking and just a quick double. Surely, not necessarily the Alta side, the Bowral side, whatever, but someone is just triple checking that it's all locked in and you're all good for Saturday, guys. Yeah, we'll see you there. Like
It's one phone call,
phone
right?
call.
Yeah,
like
I
that's
mean-
my thing. Is surely you've got some protocols in place. too.
yeah, I've seen it from the inside with Amy's Grand Fondo and O2 Events, the most meticulous company I've ever worked with.
Yeah.
I feel like they would have called 5 times just the day before. You know, like every check and balance. You don't say, oh, no, we've had a meeting, we've had a conversation. But, you know, we don't really know what's gone on. We're just reading the official press releases and statements.
Well, Hank and I were going to ride to Bowral, go to the Bradman Museum, have lunch there, and then sleep outside the Bradman Museum, sharing a swag 'cause we couldn't pack too much. And then we were going to rock up the next day.
I heard Merckxy was on the rollers at the start line. Ready to
In
go,
in
priming.
rollers.
Yeah.
But you work with, I know you work with PR companies and like around events all the time. And the cross-checking is nauseating. It's like, okay, we get it.
I know.
Yes, it's locked in. Stop checking.
Yeah, well,
but then
yeah.
you see stuff like this, and you're like, that's why they do that. Because when you hit go and thousands of people turn up for something and it's not in place, and it doesn't look great.
Yeah.
So good luck to them next year. Hopefully they can.
Is that
Yeah.
professional indemnity insurance? Is that where that would come in?
Well, yes, for individuals who made for the professionals who need to indemnify themselves.
Just checking, who was
against
the
their
most
judgment.
professional company you've ever worked with?
O2 Events.
Oh, you've never worked with River
Yep.
City Studios?
Events management company.
Yeah, all right. Well, glad you
Merckxy.
clarified.
River
Kate,
City Studios, the best studio I've ever worked with.
We are
Best
branching into
production mob.
events. Okay,
we are.
it's a new arm. Look, I hope they get it. So I'd spare a thought for the community. I guess local businesses and whatnot that get behind these events and probably get a bit of a drink out of these days and whatnot. Probably missing out, and that's where that question about refunds might come into it as well. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
Well, they
You would
probably
thought-
did all right because people get on the beers and
everyone's
go and
still
eat.
there, aren't they?
Yeah,
Good
Yeah,
food
I-
and drink down there.
Most people would have still done it. I mean, any Grand Fondo, any charity ride you do, you have to abide by the road rules. Like, I don't care whether it's closed roads, you have to abide by road rules. So anyone who's doing any event, as soon as you click onto a main road or any road in Australia, you still have to abide by road rules. So, I mean, they would have still stopped at shops and they still would have got drinks and had food before and after. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's just you didn't get a number or a finish placing.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a banner up at the start finish, but everyone knew what it was because you get a GPX, right?
I
And
think
all
for
this.
the participants, it wouldn't have been that different. I think only for the organisers, that's
They've just
the
lost
impact.
a lot of operational funds.
Yes, and that is why people get insurance.
Insurance. Okay, so look, that wasn't the only large event to have a bit of news this week. The other one being one that I know is close to your heart, of course. I refer to the Commonwealth Games. Now,
Yes.
this was interesting when that came out the other day because everyone was like, look, we know that that it's been picked up. We know that Glasgow's going to come in and save the bacon. It's going to look different. It's going to look different. They're not going to pour the money. They're not going to repeat what happened with Melbourne, obviously, because we don't want to see that happen again.
No.
A stripped-down 10-event series. Now, I'm just going to read a little spiel here. For the 2026 or 2026 Commonwealth Games, which will be held in Victoria, Australia, a range of cycling disciplines have been confirmed. Notably, the games will include track cycling, paracycling, paratrack cycling, BMX, and mountain biking. But, and this is going back, obviously, this is a dated release, road cycling and mountain bike downhill events have been excluded, raising questions about the program's direction. These questions were raised a long time before that program got absolutely obliterated.
Yes, I just put a big cross through that. Well, we've done a full circle on that, haven't we? 10 sports are included in Glasgow, notably across only 4 venues. So they're really trying to keep it tight. They're funded pretty much off the $300 million that Victorian taxpayers paid. That's, none of us are Victorians, so we don't feel it, but I tell you what, they do down there.
They do.
But track cycling and paratrack cycling have survived. Road cycling and mountain bike, gone. But road cycling is one of the first ones. It's been there since the 1934 Empire Games.
Yep.
So it's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, that sucks.
It
I mean,
sucks.
being a roadie.
Being a roadie.
Being a roadie, it's where's the heritage of our sport going? Is it going into BMX now?
Yeah.
That
Well,
hurts.
my sister, as a Commonwealth Games road race champion, I think that she would be very offended that road cycling is
Well,
now
I'm
gone.
offended because I'm a Commonwealth Games gold
medalist in teams time trial.
Team time trial,
Teams
yes.
time trial.
Which disappeared in
that event
94.
got punted a while ago.
I actually heard they're not doing road because they couldn't get traffic control.
Yeah. Altus
Forgot
are
to
too
set
busy.
a reminder in the
It's-
iPhone. Yeah.
It is very good for track cycling though,
Yep.
because they need more major events. It's not like road; they don't have a world tour to go to. So
Yeah.
the very best really rely on Commonwealth Games. It was a hallmark event for us when it was on. We didn't only half focus on it. We focused on it like an Olympic Games.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so for track, I'm really glad that they did survive. And it'll be held in the Chris Hoy Velodrome,
In the Drome,
which is
yeah.
fantastic. But it is a bit of a bummer for road. I mean, you don't need another venue. You just, maybe Merckxy nailed it there. You need traffic controllers.
You do. Can I offer a slight point of agitation here? I've spoken to a few people on this. So first one is hockey, because the Hockey Roos and they don't lose at Comm Games, whatever. They, very, very rich
So
golden
they're
history there. They're gone. But speaking to Pryles, who runs the Hockey Australia, he's kind of like, it's kind of around the same time as a World Cup for us, so it was becoming a bit of a logistical nightmare. Now that's one conversation. He's gone public with that. They're kind of like, yeah, it sucks, but at the same time, yeah, we're okay with it. The other one was someone involved with club cycling here in Brizzy, and I won't say who it was. Luke. It wasn't him. Who said basically with the ever expanding calendar and opportunities to go and get young riders over in Europe, and also the Worlds, Track Nats, all of that, but also Pro Velo, all of this stuff that's coming up, the calendar is getting more and more congested. And there was a bit of a school of thought among some club types that maybe it's just one less thing to worry about. And this is not to take away from the history and the prestige and everything around it, but this is just an on-the-ground thought of let's look at the next 24 months, 36 months, and our development pathways and opportunities for our riders. And was this one that was like, we can kind of,
Well, I think the Commonwealth Games is dying slowly. I think it's really quickly on its way out. And going back to 1994, where I won a Commonwealth Games gold medal, we were told it clashed with the World Championships, which we were like favourites. And we were told we had to do the Commonwealth Games over the World Championships. It is the other way around now. And I fear for the future of the Commonwealth Games moving forward that it will die out slowly. I think it's on the decline. And it hurts me to say that because I'm proud of, the history that I've had involved in Australia's cycling, the domination. But with everything that's happening right now with the royal family and Australia's views on becoming a republic, that keeps coming up. The Commonwealth Games for me is slowly dying, it's really sad. It's really, really sad, I believe. And I understand where you're coming from, Joel, about your comment about there's just another event that you have to pay to get to, and it costs an enormous amount of money to send a team to there and to Worlds and to World Cups and everything else like that. So it's quite sad.
No, it is, and I don't think any decision that it shouldn't detract from the achievements that Australians have made at the Comm Games, because it still is world class, elite. You know what I mean? All of that.
Yeah.
I'm curious: is there an argument in all of this that, aside from the taxpayer money that's gone into it, that Glasgow might be creating a bit of a blueprint for the survival of the Comm Games for maybe a bit longer than we thought.
Agreed.
Maybe this streamlined thing.
Totally
is like,
agreed.
Here we go.
So maybe road cycling never comes back in. This is the scary part, right?
Yeah.
They cull these sports. I'd like to see them cull 4 days out of the pool. How many events do they have? That's a bugbear of mine.
Yeah.
Medleys and 4x100, 4x200 and all these relays, and then they cut 2 events out of the road, but just cut 4 days out of the pool.
Yeah.
How many different strokes are there in swimming? I mean, I'm not trying to bag swimming, but it's amazing. It's an amazing, successful event for Australian sport, swimming. We're the best in the world at it, but come on.
Thankfully, there's 3-on-3 basketball, though, Henk.
It made it.
Don't tell me
made
there's
it.
breakdancing.
It made it.
Is
3-on-3
there
basketball.
is there breakdancing?
There is
at
not.
the
I can
Commonwealth?
confirm there is.
That's
not.
already canned, right, for LA?
It is, but
For
it,
the
but it was
3-on-3?
no breakdancing.
Oh,
For-
no, breakdancing.
But that was
breakdancing.
already
Yeah,
canned
yeah.
before
The United
Paris
Nations
was even
canned
danced.
Look, aside from whatever the performances of breakdancers, it just didn't quite
Hit the
feel
spot.
like an Olympic sport. Didn't quite hit because it was people were watching it going, he was really good and he was also really good, or she wasn't. She was. How are you deciding? Why is they getting the gold medal? The only one we can understand is Ray Gunn. Okay, so fair enough. She
And
didn't
well,
quite get there.
there's always quite hearty debate at these games between the athletes over which sports are legitimate and which are not.
Yeah.
Like synchronised swimming.
Well, there's a lot of people.
Ice skating.
There's a lot of people
Ice
who
skating.
Winter
say
Olympics,
if
like,
it's scored,
Ice
if it's
dancing.
scored,
Yep.
it should be higher, stronger, faster. You should be able to measure that
Timed. Yeah.
objectively. That's it.
Yep.
But in saying that, I love some of the sports that, like, you would take away Simone
Well,
Biles.
I was going to say Simone Biles goes.
Come on.
But
Yeah.
Jessica Fox, hello.
Well, that's timed.
Well, it's timed.
That's
it's
timed.
Yeah. No, we'll cut that bit out.
Edit.
Like, do not cut that out.
Usually that's
keep talking
me,
about it.
Merckxy.
so
No,
you
no,
can't.
no edit, Merckxy.
Okay,
We'll never
diving.
edit.
Yeah,
Diving?
see,
Yeah, good
diving
one.
would.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
see,
gone
good one.
though for Comm Games, isn't it? Diving's gone.
Uh,
I think diving's gone.
well, I
Platform diving.
don't. I think it might be. I'd have to look that up. I know aquatics is supported.
Yeah.
It actually
okay.
makes sense. If you can have swimming, you can have diving, same
Yeah,
venue.
Exactly.
But I do think that you're right. It could be the platform for the template for the new games. I'm biased. I have such fond memories throughout my career of the Commonwealth Games.
And so you guys should. It's
know,
like, and
but-
nothing, no comments and no discussion that I've had on it with anyone. Have they? No one has at any point said they're stupid or they don't. What's the point of them or anything like that? It's all just been, and a lot of it is to do with the way the Victorian government has kiboshed this to start with, in the times that we're
Yeah.
living in, and looking at it, the money that's been spent on nothing, and that inflames a lot of rage and a lot of opinion on it, that I don't think is attacking the history and the accomplishments of the athletes. But it's like, how do you move forward? Would Glasgow be doing this if they didn't have
I don't think
that
so.
top up?
I don't
I
think
don't
they
think
have
so.
the budget to pay for a
No.
full
Yeah,
a full program.
yeah.
They
So-
should just have it every 4 years, is it?
Yes,
On the Gold Coast. Tom Tate loves it.
he
Tommy
does.
Tate
Do
is
it there.
He
all
does love
for
it.
it.
Look,
Yeah.
they don't have a broadcast partner yet, I understand.
I think
but
River City's deep
Yeah.
in talk.
They
You're gonna
did.
pop in, Merckxy.
But it's all changed. Because it's not in prime time now. It was going to be in prime time
Yeah.
in Australia.
I
Yeah.
wonder who we know that could
Middle of the
commentate
night.
the track cycling. Hank, do you know anyone?
Yeah, I know a couple.
We'll have
couple
a
of
think
people.
about it. Yeah,
Catherine.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do it.
Hey, here's a left field one. We've got a state election coming up.
Yeah.
We are in Queensland here in Australia, and we've got a stadium which is about 750 years old. I think it was built, when
It was built in
the one
Roman times.
Yeah, Roman times.
Yeah.
Are we getting a new stadium, you reckon, for the Olympics
Both
in
parties have-
2032?
Oh, gee, I hope
Both
so.
the major parties have said no new stadium.
Both have.
Both have said no new stadium.
So they're going to get some super glue out
Short-
and just
short-sighted.
chuck a few, camping chairs up.
We
for the-
have the Gabba. Both have committed to varying degrees of a rebuild of the famous Gabba, which is of course home of the Brisbane Lions and
Yes,
used
my
to be
team.
home of one Test cricket match of summer, but anyway, won't get into that.
Yeah.
Usually the opening Ashes Test as well, but don't get. I'm getting hot under the collar here. So
Oh,
I'll
we've
stop.
got one this year.
We do have the. Yeah, sure, it's okay. It's not the same. we want the Ashes opener.
I
It's
feel
okay.
we're getting waylaid.
Yeah, look,
This has
Yes.
gone rogue, hasn't it?
It has
No.
gone.
It's
It's
gone
This
rogue.
wasn't in
No.
the meeting,
No,
Hank.
I want to know whether we're going to get a real
at the
stadium.
moment, both are
I
saying no.
promise.
Both are
But
saying
I
that.
don't believe either of them.
What are you promising,
The
Merckxy?
new guy, Crucifuli, that they'll build a new stadium.
I think Victoria Park will see some development.
I hope so. It's a wonderful legacy.
At
I mean,
the moment. Oh, so sorry.
oh no, in Brisbane, we're still living off the legacy of the 1982 Commonwealth Games.
That kangaroo
You know,
is
and
down
then-
at Wet and Wild.
And
No,
then
the kangaroos in
Matilda.
Gympie.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought it was
it's
at
up
Wetton
no,
Way
Way out
no,
of
it's up
Gympie.
north.
Used
yeah.
to be
Oh,
at
is
a
it moved
Matilda.
now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Oh.
now
Merckxy and I went and
parked
visited
outside
it.
of McDonald's.
Yeah.
Is it?
Now
Yeah.
5K out of Gympie.
I
It
love
is.
that.
It's
I go past it every weekend.
on the side of a highway. Yeah, it's got a servo and a Macca's
The
in the
prestige,
background.
yeah.
When you photograph it, you have to do it from the right angle so you don't get the golden arches.
Or if you like the golden arches, take one. with the golden
Yeah.
arches.
Okay. Short answer though, this campaign has been famous. It will be famous for the fact that neither party has said much at all. And the commitments they've made have been very like, we'll just wait and see. Because one party assumes it's going to be a walkover and the other party's like, fuck, what's the point?
Wheelhouse does politics.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
we'll see a new
Get it here
stadium.
first.
I like to hear
They're
that.
not going to commit to it before an election because of cost of living issues and everyone's saying, well, but
We'll,
get
we'll come out of that next year. We'll have a couple of years. We'll have a new stadium. I can't wait because I'd go for the Brisbane Lions. You see, so I want them to have.
they deserve
Yeah,
it.
well,
I want them
look,
to. Have you guys been? Have you been seeing Optus Stadium
Yeah.
in Perth?
It's glorious.
That is
It- yeah.
absolutely magnificent. It looks like freaking Wembley Stadium. It is that nice.
That whole
It's
precinct.
changed the whole of the city.
Yeah.
What people don't understand is that stadium will make Brisbane magnificent, I believe.
Yep.
So
Well,
I
look-
really, really hope they
Yep.
turn it into a
They've
mega.
redeveloped the big pineapples, so I think we just need to figure out what Brisbane can have that's big to add to the collection of big things that Australia loves, and
Yeah.
that'll get anything over the line. Merckxy,
We'll get it sorted.
what big thing do you think Brisbane can have?
This also wasn't in the meeting.
No, I just sprung that on you.
Well, big,
Like
big prawn.
we've got
Oh,
a big
no.
prawn. It's down at Ballina.
The big bin chicken.
The
There you
big
go.
bin
The
chicken.
big bin chicken.
That'd do it.
Yeah.
They were talking about having that as the mascot.
Yeah.
Wasn't
yeah.
they're talking about having Bluey as the mascot too?
Yeah, of
Well,
course.
Bluey will make
He'll make an
Appearance.
appearance, but
Bluey
he can't
will
be
be part
the
of it, yeah.
mascot. Borrowby from the Commonwealth Games is cool. Anyway, we better get back to the rundown before Merckxy cracks his whip.
For all your latest Queensland state election coverage, jump onto our social media pages. But for now, we're going to talk about SD Worx because we have
Yes.
some new blood, new director coming in, and also some withdrawals. One in particular that I'm a little bit sad about, but that's all right. Kate and
Yes.
Amanda Bregan, talk. What
Well,
do you think?
she is back on the bike. So she's gone from the director's seat
Yep.
back into the peloton, which means she's not able to lead the strategy anymore. Lars Boom. Did you ever race with Lars? He was
A little bit, not much. It was kind of tail
brilliant
end of my
tactician.
career.
He was like one of the first to do the cyclocross road balance
Yeah.
back in the day when he was with Rabobank way back in the day. Now, he's rumoured to be going to FDJ, and with Demi Vollering having not yet signed, or she's probably signed but having not yet announced where she's going, you have to wonder if maybe she's going to FDJ with Lars Boom.
Don't you find that strange?
Very strange. I wonder why. Like, are they waiting? The only thing I can think is they're waiting for the moment where there's not really any other news so she can be up in lights, up in neon, where Demi's
Sounds
going.
like her.
Yeah, it's a bit odd. But back to SD Worx, because if Demi's given us nothing, we can't sit here and talk about that all day. There's a fella by the name of Gian Paolo Mondini. Never been a director, but he will be stepping in. Really interesting appointment. I'm really curious on your view on this, Hank. He's got a master's in psychology. He was a great professional writer himself. He's coming at it from quite a different side, and he says that it'll be new for him, but a big strength for him is the psychology side of things.
Hang on, what's his background in cycling?
Oh, no, he was a pro racer.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was a pro
Oh, I
racer.
like it.
And then
No,
he
sorry.
worked for Specialised in like design and aerodynamics, so he's got a bit of a technical feel, and then he's got this psychology angle. It sounds like a really like diverse skill set.
I like it. I think, without sounding too much like a misogynist here, I think the ladies are a little bit more fragile when it comes to really, really high pressure moments, or they show more emotion. And I think someone who can really, temper and guide would be a great idea for the ladies.
Oh, let's be honest, Glutzy O'Connor could have done with that kind of guidance too in the team car. I do think women do work differently, and they often ask a lot more questions.
Definitely.
And they want to know when they're told to do something, they will often ask, why? Can you explain the thinking behind that? Whereas from my experience, a lot of the fellas, they just do it. They really abrogate any kind of power and autonomy. They're like, I'm doing that, okay, I'll do it. Whereas the women really question it, and that lends itself to a good combo there.
The idea, and I think it's a huge part of sports directing, and I've done that since 2009. It's actually everything. It's getting inside your head. It's not just tactics. It's got to be motivation and how you treat people. I mean, I know that my biggest mentor in my cycling career was Heiko Salzwedel, and he was an
may he
absolute
rest in peace. What a beautiful man he was.
Gem of a person, and he was magnificent with the riders, and I'll never ever forget him. Whereas I had absolute opposite of Heiko in like Charlie Walsh, who wasn't nice, and you can shape people's careers. So you can really change people from that 7 degrees of separation, and that sliding doors moment where they can switch off and be done in the sport. And I think when you have people who can motivate so well and be great psychologically, then you can really change and get a lot more out of athletes.
I've got a great memory with Heiko. He was, had a lot to do with a lot of Australian athletes over the years. And I saw him in Germany at a race, not even a UCI race, just a local kind of race. I didn't do very well, and he always followed everybody's career from go to woe. And, he came up and he gave me a hug and he said, it's been a shit year. I said, yeah, it really has, Heiko. And then he squeezed my shoulder and he said, sometimes you've just got to believe. And that's all he said. And then he walked away. But it stuck with me because at that point it had been the worst season. And it happened to be the season where in like 90% of races I got number 13. And I was quite superstitious and I was like, come on now. And I would wear it upside down.
That didn't work.
Well, in Germany, they won't let you wear it upside down, but in Italy, they do because they're superstitious too. So they're like, wow, get that upside down. But it just everything was going wrong that year. And it was great to just be reminded, like, just sometimes back to basics. Yeah, sometimes it's crap, but you've just got to believe. And, I think, looping this back around, the psychology, everybody works so hard. Everybody's physically so capable. At the end of the day, it's
everyone's
what's
got
between
2 arms
the
and
noggins.
2 legs.
Yeah.
It's what's between the ears that counts, and that's certainly something that I think is a good decision, and maybe we'll see a lot more of those sports directors. I mean, every team has 3 or 4 sports directors, right? So the bigger teams anyway, so they can always talk tactics-wise, but when you've got someone who can uplift your athletes, then good on them.
I know.
And
I'm looking
honest,
forward
SD
to
Works needs all
seeing
the
where
help
he
it can
goes.
get because I've had a tough trot of it.
A lot of Kopecky, really shit year for her.
Awful year. So onward. What was the message? Sometimes you just have to believe.
Sometimes you just have to believe.
Yeah. Okay, well, cool. That's a good little discussion. Now, one thing we haven't spoken about for a while because we haven't been in the bunker for a few weeks is a Belgian cyclist who pops into the rundown from time to time.
Yes.
And for some reason has got some sort of association with is it a marsupial or a rodent of chestnut eating?
What is a squirrel?
Tree climbing fame?
Squirrel.
Is it a rodent?
A squirrel can't be a rodent.
Is a squirrel a rodent, Merckxy?
Merckxy, can
Research
you Google that for us?
It's a marsupial.
Marsupial, yeah.
I don't know. Your sister's a zookeeper. So
Oh, okay. Well,
give her a
if she's
text. Hey,
surgeon-
Katie, let us know.
Give her a bell.
What's
Yeah,
a
righto.
squirrel?
Anyway, what does Wout van Aert and a squirrel have to do with one another, Catherine?
Well,
Because it's found its way into our rundown.
Apparently, Wout van Aert is spending his off-season dressed up as a squirrel on The Masked Singer.
But you're not sure.
Is it him?
Well, everybody
It's
thinks
one of
so.
those shows.
And he drew a squirrel in his Strava.
Oh, well, he's
Oh,
totally
okay.
given it away.
Right.
Yeah,
Or
that's a
maybe
massive
he was
giveaway.
told to do that.
I don't know.
Okay.
Either way,
How far did he ride
if
to
it
get the
is
squirrel?
if it is him, it's good that he's a bike rider
Oh, really?
and not a singer.
Is he singing in Flemish or in
No,
English?
no, in English. Yeah.
Oh, we need
Can
to
I
hear
just
some of
ask,
this.
Joel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you know this? Do you just Google Wout van Aert, or do you have an alert or something? Or does it just come up?
No, Kate's got that.
How do you know, Kate?
Ding. No.
Just search Wout every day.
No, on the Twitterverse of the Exaverse, or whatever you call it now,
Exverse, yeah.
was going bananas with this theory.
Are you blushing?
And no, that's the reflection of
She's
my
wearing
red
a red
top.
top today, Merckxy.
Yeah. But I think,
Kate's just like, get that camera off me.
and
because-
all of you know how on Masked Singer they give you all those clues,
Okay, yeah.
and there's something in the clue about a yellow jersey, and there's
I heard there was some music, same music or
So-
something
But why
Yeah.
the yellow? He's okay.
on his
yeah.
drum.
Well, he
so
wore it.
anyway.
I know he
Well,
wore it. but
remember
like-
the time
I
that
don't know.
Lance Armstrong was on Stars on Mars and we called the mayor?
Yeah,
Yes.
Basil.
Yes, in Broken Hill was it?
I don't know.
No, I thought it was in,
no, Scuba Petey.
It's
Oh,
Cooper
Cooper
Petey.
Petey,
Yeah,
that's
'cause We were
right.
talking to old mate
Yeah.
about the statue, and we
Well-
extended the question.
Pub
Remember-
burnt down.
We tried to call the mayor,
Yeah.
but he'd been sacked. We wanted to talk to the publican, but the
Burnt
pub
down.
had burnt
It burnt down.
down.
Yeah.
No,
It was
luck.
like
Yeah,
a-
no luck.
It was like a detective series. It was like I've arrived in this small town and it just didn't quite seem right. It was one of those sort of things. The pub had burnt down, the mayor had been sacked.
Yeah.
Where's Jack Reacher when you need him? Because it feels like a Jack Reacher book.
Look, if it turns out to be him, then what can't the man do?
You're a genius, Bates. You picked it
Yes.
from. I got to say though, Hank's like a squirrel. Strava, please. You got.
It's
bit of a
I'm
more
going to
subtle. Gee,
Google.
He has been pretty
Wait.
bored lately.
Is a
Only bored people do those Strava like art.
Like the rocket ships. Yeah.
the
Seriously.
hold on, because this show is just off the rails. The first four things in Google, if you type in "is a squirrel," is a rodent, a mammal, a marsupial, a chipmunk.
Or a cyclist, apparently.
Yeah. So
Okay.
here we go. We'll get an answer on that. It's a small mammal.
That's a
There you
small
go.
mammal.
Yep.
Brilliant.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Cool. That's good to
There
know.
you go.
Fantastic.
All
All
right.
right.
We can move
he
on
was,
now.
I thought he was a rooster. A good
Good-looking rooster.
Sorry.
Dear me. All right.
And on that note,
Let's move on.
let's go to the Danes and the 2024 Track World's Danish Delight. Catherine, 15th world title for Harry Laverson, which is
Oh.
just quit hogging it, mate. Quit hogging it.
spectacular. Yeah, I think he's catapulted himself to the best ever.
Is he in the
track
paddock? Is he,
cycling.
or he is the goat?
He's alone in the paddock.
He's alone in the
He's
paddock
probably
now?
going to win 30 the way he's
Yeah.
going.
Wow.
Yeah, he's
You
still
would think the next 5 years, right?
he's still got another
He's in his
games in
prime.
him.
Because he was untouchable
Yeah.
in Paris. He was like,
He
even
was.
the very best was just, no.
It
you,
was
you were
remarkable.
great, but then there's Harry.
But
Although
what?
there is the new guy for Team GB.
He didn't ride.
How did Richo go?
Hey.
he didn't
He
ride?
wasn't. He
couldn't
wasn't allowed
ride.
to, was he?
No.
Oh, he didn't
Not this-
ride?
not
Not
this
eligible
year.
yet? Okay, okay. That makes
but
sense.
here's a question: are we missing him? Yes, we are, Richo. But
Yeah.
look, you don't joke about these
Yeah, yeah,
things.
don't
Not
make it-
anymore. Not since my inbox
We're
filled
not
up.
talking about squirrels now.
No,
okay?
but Ryan Elliott stepped up for first wheel
Yep.
with Lee Hoffman and Tom Cornish. They got a silver medal behind the might of the Dutch
Great.
at the World Championships in the team sprint.
Fantastic,
That's
isn't it?
fantastic.
Bloody fantastic.
Yeah, it is,
Ryan
yeah.
Elliott, like,
Didn't he do the
Brilliant.
fastest ever first lap?
he did.
Ever.
He did. There was, yes, he did.
He did the fastest first
Yep.
lap. They got us in the end,
They did.
but because they had the goat.
Yes.
But he did the fastest ever lap.
Overall, not just
In
for an
history.
Aussie, like, wow.
So, look,
That's
a
awesome.
lot of talent, very exciting.
That's incredible.
That is unbelievable. When you think about that, the fastest ever standing start lap in history, and we run second to the goat team, the Dutch
Pretty good.
goats.
Well, and the Aussie women, this was my favourite, got third.
Yeah.
But including Molly McGill and Alessia McCaig, it's their first World Championships ever.
Yeah.
And they
that's
with
our next
Christina
gen.
Clonan to
That's
get
our
a bronze.
next gen.
It is. And there were
The
big
future's
bright.
question marks. Why didn't Alessia McCaig go to the Games? That's a meaty topic. She probably should have been given the opportunity, but so cool. Like, just incredible to see these ladies step up. Each round got faster. They just performed out of their skin. And you're right, next gen. Because they're all young.
It's exciting.
And Brisbane, watch out.
I mean, if that's their first, they're going to improve over the next 4 years, you would think. So
4 years, 8 years.
yeah, so
Young careers.
that will be much stronger. Because
By the
how
time-
do you know how old the girl, Alicia? and-
Alessia is 19, I think. And Molly McGill is 20, 21. She's young too.
Taking it to Dygert.
Yeah,
Love that.
and new.
Love that.
Well, yeah. So Chloe Dygert broke the world record in the qualifying of the individual pursuit, but then foofed up the final and walked away with a silver medal. So it was an interesting world. Scott McStory was calling it, so he did a good job. He had Shane Braspenix, one of the Dutch sprinters, and in fact Jeffrey Hoagland's partner, commentating with him.
She was all right.
She
Needs
was.
some work, I think.
Yeah, well,
she's
she's
not
not
Kate Bates.
not me,
No,
Merckxy.
there's no basis. Jeez.
But it was quite interesting. She almost couldn't speak when Jeffrey was racing. Like, she just
Nervous.
She was
yeah.
she
I
was
think I would
okay.
probably overtalk.
She was
I'd
emotionally
get excited,
invested
but
and yeah, okay.
yeah, no, but Scott did a fantastic job. So
Are we an argument for Scotty McGregory as a potential voice of cycling in the next, Olympic cycle? Is he him and yourself?
McStory, yeah.
Voices
Well,
of
you know,
cycling.
Phil has rung the bell on his final Olympics, so that puts McStory in the hot seat.
Yeah. Bates and McStory.
To be
You're never going to
the-
join me saying McGregory, are you? That's all right, fine.
I'm
We'll go with
just
McStory.
I'm just leaving that behind.
Anyway, well, good on you, Scotty.
Yep.
Knows his way around the drome. To be
I
fair.
know. I mean, but
talks it
with
good.
the road season over and now the track season over, it's
He hasn't been in the studio for a while.
Yeah.
Scott, it's an open invitation.
You know
You're
it
always
Yes.
welcome here.
Scott McGrory, you're always welcome here.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Absolutely. So some good news for Cadell's. Some 2 races confirmed, Catherine.
Yes, they have confirmed that they're going to do the Surf Coast Classic again. So that means that the teams get 2 one-day races rather than a criterium and then a race. But I'm curious, after the TDU, Hank, why do a lot of the teams not go on to Cadell's? Because Cadell's
I
is
thought
such a brilliant
I thought
event.
most of them did.
No, they don't.
Really?
No, there's often a bit of a change in and change out. From a director's point of view, is it just too long a one stint with the same team, or?
Well, they try and get rid of. Sorry, not get rid of. They try and they do. They get rid of the bad weather in Europe. So they come and do 10 days. Some teams come 2 weeks before Down Under. So then they do 2 weeks and then Down Under, and then it becomes over a month if they do that. So it's a long time away to start the season because they've got training camp as well, photos and everything else, and media, and then you go to Australia and you're going to Australia for a month. I mean, that's a grand tour. So I get it.
Yeah.
So
To start the season.
to do a
with so
5-day
much.
race.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're away for a month, and it's just too much, I think, for a lot of them. But I mean, it's a pity they don't all do it. But I thought most of them did. I haven't done the race personally.
I
before,
think
so-
this puts them in a position to justify it, having 2 one-day races rather than a criterium and then a one-day race. But it is hard sometimes if they get injured or sick, right? Because if you're all the way in Australia, you can't really pull in a reserve.
Exactly.
I have a question.
Merckxy.
Reckon we'll ever see Podgy at the Tour Down Under?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah?
someone will pay for him to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And when he decides when he's won enough Grand Tours, which will be never, he will want to be really, really good early in 1 year and try and win all the classics.
Okay. And
Because
that'll
for
be
him
his
to
leading.
emulate Merckx, he's got to win all the classics.
Yeah.
Which he can do from Europe because he can do whatever he wants. But I'm sure he'll get bored of doing the same races at the start of the year every year. So he will definitely do TDU 1 year. I'm 100%.
I'm sure he will too. It's so
And
nice.
what about White? Do you reckon Wout van Aert will come down? Well, for the
He'll
classics,
squirrel
right?
his way in, surely.
Aha.
You would think he'd come down and do it 1 year.
Well,
Yeah.
I think I think Kate, you're flagged at the airport, so he won't come if you're going to be there.
I probably won't get a media pass that
No.
year.
Are you an undesirable at the airport, are you?
Not yet, but
Okay.
give me time.
Give me time. Are we talking Podge like in the nearish future, or are we talking veteran?
No, I
winding
think he'll
down
come down.
Podge?
I reckon he'll come down and do it 1 year. For sure.
I
In the
reckon
next,
next
5
years.
years.
Next
Yeah.
5? Okay,
Jinx.
great. All right. We'll be there. You have a ride
We
coming
will.
up.
I do. I'm off tomorrow to join the Sisters of the Saddle. I've got my beautiful
Shout out to
jersey
Bronwyn and the
here
team, yeah.
that I'm going to be donning tomorrow to ride. Tomorrow, the whole weekend is 335k over 3 days. I'm doing 100k tomorrow with 1,200 metres vertical gain
Oofed.
around Yamundi. Does
Oh,
that be
yeah.
right?
Oh, beautiful.
Oh,
part
that's
of
Am
the
I
great
world.
going
up
to
there.
die,
Yeah.
Hank?
Is it
Oh.
around Yamundi?
It's hot.
No, it's not
It
too
goes
bad.
from
Watch out for brown snakes.
Yandina to
Past that here.
Tushakoi. How do we say that?
Touchakoi.
Touchakoi.
Yeah, great.
Who
spot.
doesn't want to touch a koi? What's
It was
a
an
koi?
old school camp spot back in the day.
Really?
Touchakoi.
Touch a koi?
Yandini, Yamundi, Timbiwa. Yeah, that's solid.
Oh,
But it's not bad.
Okay.
Yeah, that's tough. But beautiful.
Lovely.
It's
Okay.
There's nothing silly in there. There's a couple of steep bits, but there's I think you'll really enjoy it. There's not much. First, there'll be a little bit of traffic, and once you get out of the other side of Noosa, there's no traffic. So it'll be really quiet and
All right,
beautiful,
lovely.
beautiful roads.
Well, it is a wonderful cause. Now, they have Queensland Rail is coming to the party,
Okay.
and we have our own train, yo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from Nunda, from
I love
Brisbane,
that.
up to Yandina. So, party train.
All the girls, all the bikes on the train.
Yep,
Oh,
departs.
fantastic. Good stuff.
We have to be there at 4:40 a.m.
Okay.
But that's okay. I should be awake by the time we start riding. At
You'll be there.
Just
Just
have your
7:30.
thermos of
Fine.
coffee.
Yes.
You know, the old thermoses?
Yes, a
Yeah.
bucket. I'll
Yeah.
just have a bucket,
You've
a
got one there,
camelback.
like that. 10
of,
times the
coffee.
size of that one.
Now,
Yeah.
they raise money for Zephyr, which provide return to school equipment for children who have in DV shelters who've had to be relocated to get them back to school. So really important, really important stuff. And they also for Traction, which empowers young people through mentors for really hands-on learning and development. So two really
Awesome
great
cause.
causes. We've put the link in our show notes so you can go and take a look at that. And Merckxy, for his birthday, he got a coffee machine, but I bought him 2 bags of the Impact Blend,
Nice.
which is the SOTS coffee.
Yeah. of
Yeah,
course.
so
Yeah.
while you buy your coffee beans, you can also donate to a good cause. So
love that.
get on that. It's through Bellissimo Coffee. I actually have one of the takeaways here. Beautiful coffee. So it's really cool. And it is a really wonderful group. There's nearly 40 women doing it. A lot of them have never ridden anything like this before.
Yep.
Kirsty Bruin, who was in the AIS with me
No, Kirsty,
many
yeah.
years ago. She's the coach. She's been a brilliant coach. She doesn't just teach them how to ride in terms of the distance and the fitness. She teaches them the skills and the bunch comfort. And yeah, so I'm hoping to like do a netty and like surf my way,
Surf your wheels. Yeah, cool.
surf the wheels.
Oh, it's
did,
a beautiful. I'm jealous actually. Yes,
Bron Victor
but-
did say to me today, there's plenty of cars. I was like, hey,
Yeah, come on, Bron.
that'll
What
come
are
in
you talking
handy.
about? Hey, shout out to Bron and the team because the work they continue to do is awesome. I also, Traction is a great program.
It is.
Empowering a lot of young people.
Yeah,
to-
cycling for good. There's so many things. Before we go, guys, because I know we're about to wrap up, but I wanted to dedicate this show to a teammate of mine who we lost last week, Naomi Williams. Ren, as everybody knew her, she was very loved and valued part of our cycling community. And you've just got to look after yourselves and each other. We lost her too young. She was just one of the kindest, sweetest people in our community. We'll miss her very much. So I just want to dedicate today's show to Ren.
Lovely tribute, Kate. Thank you very, very much. Episode 114 of the Wheelhouse Cycling Podcast going out to you, Ren, and everyone else out there. Look after yourself and speak out if you need to. It's never the wrong time to have a conversation, is it? So please
Well said.
share, subscribe, tell everyone you know, because, geez, this is a good podcast. Even in the off-season, we've got plenty to talk about, haven't
Well,
we?
I mean, when we've got infrastructure programs and stuff
Exactly.
to talk about, well,
So
never run out.
the next podcast, we can just talk about all the parties we had in the off season.
yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
We'll also wrap
That's
up...
right. I'm not a professional cyclist
That's
anymore.
it.
Well, next week we will wrap up the Queensland state election and King Charles and Queen Camilla's tour as well.
And Lydia
will be on
Thorpe
the
and
agenda.
just
Oh,
keep
yeah.
going on and on.
All right.
Please get involved. It's a lot of fun. We'll see you next time in the bunker. Peace out.
See ya.